Hello and welcome to week 3 of 3 Ireland EStars, and what a night we have in store for you. We've already had 2 weeks of action, and I think some of the players are starting to get an idea of just how important this is. We're talking €20,000 prize pot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not only that, we're also going to 3 Arena in Dublin, obviously, and then the winners also get to go to Vegas, which is huge.
And we've travelled west this week. We are in beautiful Sligo, and it has just been an incredible journey here as well. It's been a fantastic trip. We started in Dundalk, we worked our way over to Cork, and this week Sligo, and what a trip it's been. We've brought Big Betty with us as well. She's been here for the ride, hasn't she?
She has, and Sligo's beautiful. I mean, I flew in and you can see for miles the hills, mountains behind us, bit of snow. It's really incredible. Just a great venue, and Betty's looking amazing.
She is. She's getting fired up. She is quite a machine, I have to say. Travelling, like I say, the whole way across from Dundalk here along the west coast, and it has just been quite a journey. Of gaming in this country, we've never had an event like this, and like we say, all building up to the big event in Dublin at the 3 Arena. It is going to be some night, but we've got plenty to get through before we get to that point, haven't we?
Yeah, loads, and this week's going to be super important. Last week we saw some of the better teams kind of step up, some of the worst ones kind of fall back. Week 3 though is going to be a third of the way through, and we're going to see who the best really are and who come cream of the crop.
Absolutely. We saw some of them last week. We saw some people really stepping out of their comfort zone, really excelling. Let's look back at the action. Seriously,
we are onto the riff for the first game of the week. Bray against St. Patrick's. This is disaster for Pats, and they try and look for something that was a little bit too far out of their reach, and they get aced. Huge win for Bray.
Adam, captain of Bray Wanderers, how are you feeling just now?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, we're winning, as expected.
Oh, this could just be the end of the game right here, right now. That is going to be our second game of the day, going over to Bohemians in extremely convincing fashion.
What happened?
Their bottling was significantly better than ours. We could have ended it quicker, but we kind of had a bit of fun towards the end.
Double kill for the Ezreal. Sprinkles, you're just a little bit too little, too late. Zillion goes down off the backside. Triple kill. And at 15 and 4, 25 minutes games realistically, it's going to be Team 3 taking the win.
Us Dublin boys got to be home, about now. So Cork was like, leave Fiora open. Let 3 end at 20 minutes. Grand stuff. So got to thank them for that. They're good sports.
So tonight has been a really exciting night of matches. They've been really action-packed and very short game. Today we've seen really the top teams separate themselves from the pack. We have 2 standout players tonight. One was Kevaman, who really performed wonderfully on his Varus and kind of took over the game. Team 3 played really well and understood exactly what their team comp needed to secure victory.
Hello and welcome back. I'm here with our MVP and captain of the team of the week last week. Both gave us huge performances. It's Kevin and Sean. How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, about last week's game. Oh, sorry about that. And for, the game coming up tonight, it's the last game, so it's the one everyone's going to be watching. Against a tough opponent, Sligo. They had an unfortunate game last week, but they're definitely a tough team, and they're the team to beat, really, for us to progress and try and win this tournament. I'm pretty confident in my team, though. They've been performing very well in both practice and the games previous. So I say if we go in with a strong plan, outdraft them, we can take an easy win.
That's great to hear. And what about yourself, Kevin?
Well, after last week's game where we had a savage comeback, I think everybody on our team's feeling really great.
I mean, you especially dominated last week on that Varus. First pentakill of the tournament. Must feel great.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, especially getting MVP. Got a couple of likes on Facebook there from my mates at home. But yeah, my team really set me up. Like, we have a really, really good team behind me, which really helped me get that pentakill for sure.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm hoping to see a lot more. We chatted about this before. How many do you reckon in the first 9 weeks pentakills we're going to get?
Well, it kind of depends on the game. So against the lower teams, if we stomp them, it's kind of hard to get a pentakill if they're all dead all the time. But against the higher teams, where the games are a bit closer and there's more team fights, especially with the comps that we dropped, with like 2 tanks frontline usually. As long as Mew's on a tank, I think I can definitely get a pentakill if I'm the most damage on the team.
All right, well, that sounds pretty confident. We talked about it this week. How are you feeling about your matchup?
This week against Bohemians, they're 2-0, but they haven't really played any big teams. I don't think they haven't had anyone to test them. I think bot lane will be a key matchup. I think bot lane's their strongest lane. So as long as we go even, or we're a strong bot lane too, so if we can beat them, I think we can definitely win the game, especially with our mid and top that should 100% be ahead in this game today. All
right, that's great to hear. You, for me, Team 3 is really the sleeper team. You guys are 2-0. You've beaten some good teams, and as you said, Sligo Rovers, but you feel confident up against them. How do you guys in game? Are you the shot caller?
First of all, we played Bohemians week 1, so appreciate that. But for the shot calling, in terms of that, me and Cramp would, probably 50-50, take over. When I'd start being quiet, he'd step up. He deserves a lot of credit as well as a player. I know people like to talk about me, but he's very talented as well.
That's great to hear. Excellent. It's nice to hear both of you praising your teams. It is a team game. Best of luck to you two. Congratulations on great performances last week, and I'm looking forward to seeing more this week. Do you guys go?
It's been incredible, hasn't it? We've already got MVPs we're talking about here. It's just hard to imagine, and we're going to see more of these guys in action later on. Tonight, though, the one I'm looking forward to, it's Sligo against 3. And that is going to be some game, isn't it?
Absolutely. Last week, Sligo, who were one of the top teams, and we expected them to do really well, they got destroyed by Shamrock, who had brought in a new player in the jungle, and they just clicked really well. It'll be interesting to see how they come back from that defeat, and are they as good as we thought they would be?
Well, this is it. They were one of the favourites as well. So
they
that was such a huge disappointment. But this week, they're on home turf. Will that make a difference?
I think it does, especially if the fans are out, and everyone should come and see Big Betty live. But I don't know, because Team 3 are definitely really strong. They played 2 good opponents in week 1 and 2. They won both convincingly. I think last week their match was actually the fastest.
Yeah.
The fastest win. So
record time. It was incredible.
Be tough. It's definitely a match to watch.
Absolutely, but first up tonight we're going to have Limerick. Now Limerick haven't had the best starts. 2 losses from 2. Can they improve on that?
I mean, when you're at the bottom, the only way is up, isn't it? But, you know what? Limerick's captain is one of my favourite players because he's so positive. He loses, he's just smiling. He's out there saying, we're doing our best, we're loving the experience. And that's kind of the attitude you want to see because it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, someone has to lose, but you can still enjoy the experience.
Absolutely. Nikita, you have got a big night ahead of you. We're going to be across these games. You head off now. You're going to be casting across the entire world tonight. Can you believe it? From right here in Sligo. Well, let's have a look now at some of the preparations that have been going on here in Big Betty. If I can just grab Norbert for 2 seconds. Norbert, Limerick captain. Now, we discussed this last week. We're waiting for a big comeback from you tonight. Is it going to happen?
I think so. We've practiced a lot recently, despite some problems, but yeah, hopefully.
Now, let's see, you're up against Derry tonight. I mean, Cork tonight, my apologies. This could go either way for you, though. Coming off the back of 2 defeats, it's not easy to pick yourself up from that. What kind of conversations have you been having during the week?
definitely about our laning phase because we had problems with them by losing them, and then our picks and bans because we always usually pick champions that take too long to properly play out.
And do you still have your eye on the prize? That's the big question now. The 3 Arena Grand Final. That's what we're all talking about here tonight. Are you still feeling confident?
Of course, I'm always confident.
This is why I love Norbert. He's always confident. Right, let's find you've all spread out over all over the place for me now. Okay, guys, we can just have a quick chat with your team captain. Where's he gone? Where's he hiding? He's down here. 2 seconds. Come with me. So, right, guys, how are we feeling tonight? Are we feeling confident? We've made the trip all the way over to the west coast here in Sligo. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good about this game. Hopefully, we pull out the wins. So that's what we're aiming for. So it'll be good. We have a few picks lined up, so it should be fun.
You don't want to give too much away. But, I mean, Limerick coming off the back of 2 defeats. Does that give you a bit of a boost? How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it does. We kind of had 2 hard matchups the last week, so I know we should pick up the pace now and try and get on the upper half of the leaderboard. So it should be.
And tell me, do you have your eyes on the prize? This is what we're all talking about. This is what we're all gearing up for at this point. Are we already thinking, dreaming about that grand final in Dublin?
Yeah, sure, we all do. So hopefully we'll be able to pull out get to the quarters or semis. So it should be fun.
Well, we've got plenty of action to get through. I think we're going to link. Oh, there's some fighting talk already happening over here. It's going to be one of those nights, I can just tell. I think I can hand it over now to Nikita. If you're there, let's get some of the action underway, shall we?
This is the biggest challenge of their lives.
This is the fastest growing spectator sport in the world.
They seriously don't understand how good I am at this game, and we are going to win this.
And welcome to the casting cabin. As you'll see, I have a new co-caster on the side here. It's Wispy. It is Wispy.
Whimsy.
Damn it. There we
We'll
go.
get there.
Unfortunately, Oshin couldn't be here this week, but it's an exciting week 3. One of the best weeks, I think, to come in. Allowed everyone to warm up and a bit more. It's so much warmer in here, but better than the top.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Dude, thrilled to be out here. Like you said, a lot of big games this week coming in, and very excited to get through them all and see who can really just get these early wins on the board and move ahead in terms of breaking away from the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the big thing is like when you, as you said, this is week 3. It's about it's going to be a third of the way through before the finals at the 3 Arena in Dublin, and that's where we're going to see who is the top.
Exactly, yeah. I think getting your wins now, especially in some of these matches when you're against your rivals in the standings, teams that might be around the same score as you, around the same level, very important you get those. We are going to jump into pick ban for the first game on stream here, though. Limerick against Cork, and we have all the first round of bans coming in here. A lot of targeted ones coming out here, especially from Limerick.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that I would expect. There's nothing surprising. I mean, maybe the Karenga, that's the one thing.
Yeah.
But like, I know online that's been demolishing some people. Not so much in pro play, but they're still playing on 8.5, so that's maybe one of the reasons. But definitely Sejuani, Sion, Camille makes a lot of sense. Strong control junglers and strong top laners.
And certainly, Limerick able to get the Zyra Khan combo, which is very strong. Did take a little bit of a hit on this patch in terms of the pair, but I mean, always a very dominant bot lane. They're going to be happy to go with that one. I think Morgan Jin as well, though, has a very nice combo, especially recently with Jin coming back into power.
No, absolutely. Jin's been really strong. Morgana, Jin, great lane. Zyra Khan was kind of oppressive before, especially in the right hands. This time it's a little bit more balanced, but at the same time you still have if someone has practice on it, it can do really well. And last week Limerick said that they lost because their bot lane was just dominated, so hopefully again these 2 power picks will help them kind of even that out.
Yeah, if you're going to go for champions to help you win lane, Zyra Khan, always a good option. We do see that Ornn and Rek'Sai locked in, top and jungle for Cork, so Gulag going back on the Rek'Sai. We saw him in week 1 against Shamrock have a very good performance on that champion here, so maybe looking for a bit of a repeat here against Limerick, and they do have that tank in the top lane as well, so it'll be interesting to see what mid they go with, but Limerick right now still waiting on their jungle pick, and I imagine their top lane pick as well. Wukong.
Whoa.
Alright.
Okay. I mean, I love Wukong. But he's not on a good state at all. Like, not even. I think I saw an interview with Alarum, who's quite a famous Wukong top player, and he was saying as much as he loves it, it's in such a bad state that I'm very surprised. But at the same time, you still have that utility of the knock-up. If you build the right damage items, maybe, but I am surprised Shyvana Wukong, unconventional to say the least.
Certainly. Limerick had this very meta setup with their first 3 picks, and then they go with Shyvana Wukong, you know, throws for a little bit of a loop. I mean, you do have the potential combo there. You send the Wukong in, you put the Galio in on top of him, and that's a lot of crowd control, a lot of time for the Shyvana to go nuts and the Xayah to get at the auto attacks. But like you said, Wukong can be tricky to pull off, especially in the top lane falling behind. Your impact will be pretty limited as the game goes on.
Especially against an Ornn who is actually so strong in the lane at the moment. He's just has such a huge impact. I just don't see Wukong actually matching up against that. So that's going to be an interesting matchup, and I think a lot of it is now going to have to hinge on the Galio in the bot lane. So that's where I would expect the Shyvana to sit in. On the other side, though, you have an Orianna, which is such a good core champion that is so versatile.
Yeah, you can always go back to those team fights with Orianna. One good shockwave can flip a game, really secure it. We are going to have a look at the lineups coming in here. First of all, it is Cork. It is Sprinkles in the top lane. I believe you coined him as Sprinkles in the last week. Gulag in the jungle. They have Chomp in the mid lane, which is a bit different. He's subbing in for Firth, their normal mid laner. And then I Am Pa and Krusty Pants bot lane for Cork here. Should be looking to have a big game this week.
I hear it's actually I Am Pa, not Pa, because it's Pa for Patrick. But yeah, good performances. I actually think Cork is a fairly strong mid-level team. In week 1, they did a good upset. In week 2, unfortunately, they lost. But we'll have to see really this week how they do. And I expect them, you know, on paper, we would expect them to beat Limerick, but there have been upsets before.
And having a look at the Limerick plays here. Haroon in the top lane, E10 in the jungle, Captain Katazen in the mid lane, and Cormico and Kabnak duoing in that bottom lane here. I think if there's any time for Limerick to bounce back, it has to be this game. Cork is the kind of team that you can take advantage of, and they have a few of those big power picks here, so maybe we'll see just a little bit more out of Limerick in here in week 3.
I definitely hope so, and like you said, they do have 3 power picks that they can do a lot with, and it's quite a strong team fighting comp actually when you think about it. A lot of AoE dive and full on in, but that can also backfire. But it will be, hopefully, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Hopefully, indeed. I mean, we always like those big bloody games here, and when both comps going for these compositions that are geared towards the fighting, I think that's always what you're set up for here. We're talking about the Limerick team fight as well. You have a few tools on the side of Cork to combat that, and like you said, I'm hoping for an exciting game here. Cork have been a little bit swingy, I think, so far this tournament. They had that big win week 1, then they fell pretty emphatically to 3 last week, so this is certainly a team that we're still kind of very much gauging how they're doing.
We are absolutely trying to figure it out. The thing is, 3 is actually, to me, as I mentioned on stage, one of the sleeper best teams, because they've done really well in the first 2 weeks. Their performance have been good, and from what I've heard behind the scenes, they're actually being very solid, and it's slowly kind of rising the ranks. It will be interesting. Where does Cork actually sit? Because I can see them kind of slipping into 4th. And getting that, the thing is, at the end of the day, it's also how if you get unlucky a few times, because it is best of ones, and there are opportunities where, like Shamrock, who lost, it'll be interesting to see. You can suddenly have these teams who you wouldn't expect to win, but who do end up winning.
Yeah, just picking up a couple of those important wins that you might not expect. And like you said, certainly a team of Cork's caliber can maybe slip into those playoff spots without anyone really taking a notice here, as we see the players getting ready to get into this.
This is another thing, though. Like, in week 1, they did really well with the Veiga and Camille. I understand they banned the Camille, like, that's fine, but it's like, okay, I'm curious. Do they ever go back to those unconventional picks, or are they just going to continue?
Yeah, that could be it. I mean, when you do, obviously they have a substitute mid laner this week, so they might have to run something a little bit different as opposed to the Veigar, but maybe, like you said, because there's some teams who can take advantage of those picks really well. You might have those one tricks coming in, and that's the kind of thing that will surprise opponents a little bit. They might not be 100% prepared for a few of the off-meta things that are kind of strong, but you don't often see at the top level of competitive play. So certainly if you can come up with surprises like that, you can maybe catch a few opponents off guard. We do see Alawi is another one that Limerick actually had to ban away because knows the Cork top laner Sprinkles is a big Alawi player, so drawing those bans as well is also another thing that you have to worry about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's going to be huge. And I think, this is going to be really important. And, all these wins, as we start to go past this week, are going to get more and more important because there's no way to come back. Like, week 1, week 2, it's fine. And we're really talking about a huge prize pool. €20,000, finals and semi-finals in the 3 arena. And then, it's going to be a trip to Vegas, which is huge. It's actually to our new arena. We might be able to show you a bit about that later on. It's a really exciting venue that's just opened up in the Luxor Hotel. But I know a lot of the players are excited about all of this, and that's the thing. Like, how do they actually convert that excitement into the wins that they need?
Yeah, it's all about getting that good practice in, and these teams are pretty much constantly scrimming each other throughout the week, looking to practice against each other and get their comps ready for these next games here. And you can see in the preparation a lot of these teams are putting in with the picks and bans here, and they're kind of slowly developing these styles. Like we said, the kind of weird picks coming out from Limerick as they're finding their feet. I know they've been putting a lot of effort into their drafts and developing as the tournament goes on, so maybe this is something that they could once again find comfort with and throw their opponents off guard.
Absolutely, and it's great to hear that, because that work and not getting yourself down after going 0-2 is a huge thing. Because as much as we're saying, you've lost 2, there's not too much leeway, you still have 8 weeks, and they lost to some good teams. So it's like you have the opportunity to pick a few wings up and get up there, and this is where it really starts. They need to get ready. We're going to jump into game very shortly, but this is where Limerick have an opportunity to go get their first win, and maybe it's the start of a huge win streak in the turnaround.
Exactly. It always takes one win before you go on a big win streak, like you said, but taking 3 losses would put them in a pretty tricky spot, so a very crucial stage of the tournament for them. Very crucial stage for Cork as well, because they move to 2-1. They are certainly in the playoff hunt, and I mean, like I said, they'll be a team who, after that first win, would have had their eyes set on it, and this is almost, they would be expecting an elementary win, I think, against Limerick. And I mean, we are suspecting Limerick will give them a bit of a challenge here, that Cork might not be 100% prepared, but certainly, I mean, Cork will be wanting this win so they can have that positive record going into the next week.
Absolutely, and the thing is, Cork is coming in with a support. Sorry, not support.
Mid lane?
Mid laner. I'm not a support. But they're coming in with someone, they're not their traditional lineup. So how is that going to mess things up? How is it going to affect their gameplay, their teamwork? And those sorts of things can mess you up and make you lose to a team that you don't expect to lose to.
You're so used to the communication and how it's flowing for a couple of weeks. You're really developing a synergy as this team, and then suddenly you're missing one of your pieces, and it depends on how much it affects them. Like you said, everything could just completely destabilize. The comms get a little bit messed up, or they kind of take it in their stride and they manage to run with it. We'll see how they manage to deal with it as we get ready onto the Rift for the first game of week 3 of 3's Ireland EStars. Limerick on the blue side, Cork City on the red side here. Both these teams looking for a vital win here out in Sligo.
Absolutely, it's going to be really exciting, and here we go, they make their way out. Do you expect any cheese?
Potentially. Zaya Rakan is just something you always have to be wary about. The grand entrance from Rakan is something you need to watch out, but the Cork do group in that mid lane brush. They will be spotted out by the wards, so nothing crazy likely going to happen at the start here. These teams have a little bit of info on each other, but going to go back to the defensive setup.
Yeah, nothing huge or something. We see Haroon moving up a little bit up there. But I'm definitely interested to see how things end up setting up and what happens with Limerick with this unusual jungler. Because I haven't seen Shyvana jungle in quite a while.
I have seen a couple of Shyvana jungle games in some of the other competitions. She farms a lot, and then she kills people in fights. I think that's pretty much the MO for
what
Shiv.
you're telling me, it's a Shyvana, basically.
Yeah.
It is a power farmer, but I definitely Rek'Sai with the ability to kind of, and with Tracker's Knife being removed, Rek'Sai has kind of drifted up as a result of that with her ability to reveal opponents.
Exactly. Also, just the early pressure might be a good counterbalance to the Shyvana. While she's busy farming, you can get the lanes ahead and kind of run with that a little bit. And we saw Gulak have big performances on this champion before, so might be looking for the repeat here, especially if he can get that bottom lane rolling against the Zaya and Rakan. That's always good when you have a fed Jhin, especially on this patch.
Oh, massively, definitely. And both junglers getting a strong leash there. Got lane. It looks like Jhin and Morgana are going to get in a bit earlier. But definitely, I wonder who's going to get that level 2 first and going to be able to exert that pressure in the lane. In top lane, I know as a former kind of Wukong player, it's a big thing like that you have to survive the first 3 levels. And then once you've got your kit, that's where you can really start comboing things together. But I think it's going to be, at least he's not in a ranged lane.
Exactly. He does have a little bit of safety, like you said, because Ornn has to get in melee range for a lot of those attacks, but you can see Haroon taking a bit of a beating here in the 1 versus 1. You said it would be tricky in the early first few levels against the Ornn, and Sprinkles doing a decent job here in the first few minutes of the 1v1.
Yeah, and absolutely, it's going to be hard, and a lot of it's going to come up to his clone, like how is he going to decoy out of things and get away?
It's certainly... We'll see if there's any more tricks up Haroon's sleeve in that 1 versus 1 lane, or if the jungles were able to upset the balance there a little bit. You can see Gulag maybe thinking of sneaking into the mid lane here. I don't think Katazen knows that the Prey Seeker comes out. Gulag going to jump on in. The Galio still has the flash available. He's trying to hold on to it, has the taunt. Flash last second, but now E10 showing up in the top lane. Sprinkles flashing away from that immediately, and a lot of early summoners dropping here.
Yeah, no, so Sprinkle's not even taking the risk, just completely flashing out, not even giving an opportunity, and maintaining his dominance against Haroon in lane, who is now at like 1/3 of his health, and it's a bit worrying. We just saw him lose the decoys back out there. It's on a fairly long cooldown, especially on rank 1, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But big, like the fact that Katazen had to flash away, that's a big summoner that's down at the moment.
Has got back to lane using that teleport, so can still hang in there against Champ, but like you said, a return gank here, and this Galio could be in trouble. He's actually going to go in with the Justice Punch, but Gulag was hanging around the whole time. The taunt hits from the Shield of Duran, and this could be the Galio in a lot of trouble, able to tag up a lot of damage, but the first blood comes in for Gulag, and now they're looking for E10 as well. The Shyvana has the burnout, but flashes away as well. A lot of respect being paid, but Cork taking that first kill.
Yeah, that's huge. Good start for Cork. Not so great for Limerick on the other side. Katazen, I understand he wants to kind of jump in and put a bit of pressure, but I think overestimating his damage and his tankiness.
Also, just not really paying attention to where the jungler might be at that time. Without the flash, you need to play it back a little bit, and Katazen just not paying respect to Gulag and the early pressure of the Rek'Sai that cost him that flash in the first place, and as a result he's given first blood over to Gulag's Rek'Sai, and we've seen him do damage with this before.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then on the other hand as well, he wasn't paying attention to his own jungler, who's a little bit further out. Even if that taunt had landed, I don't think Shyvana, without her ultimate, would have made it in time. So it's definitely a bit of issues with coordination. But that's not an issue on the side of Cork at all.
Cork showing up strong here in the first 5 minutes of this game, especially playing around that mid lane, and lowering the impact of that Galio could be pretty crucial. If you can keep him pushed in, that ultimate becomes a lot less impactful.
Yeah, definitely it does. But, you know, going back to the top lane there, as much as Haroon is getting bullied in lane, he's actually keeping up in farm, which is something, you know, to credit to him. As well as the bot lane. So on the side of Limerick, I'm pretty impressed by that.
Yeah, they're hanging in the lanes a lot better this time around. In those side lanes especially, like you said, Haroon, despite having to use that early teleport, seems to be keeping up nicely enough in the farm here, which is nice. He'll be able to take that little bit of extra damage with him when he hits level 6 and gets the Cyclone. We'll see if the Wukong can really impact the fights back then. But the Ornn has the teleport advantage, and right now, Cork can maybe use that to make some plays around the map before Haroon gets his own TP back.
Yeah, no, I think there's opportunities for that, especially with the bot lane that they have, which can be so annoying. Morgana stun into Jhin stun, but action in the mid lane.
Another gank coming in here. Nice taunt though from Katazen, and he will be okay this time around. So the Galio's not going to fall down. He'll be still alive for the moment, and I mean, that's got to be a bit more of a confidence booster for him. He's been ganked 3 times, but that time he's not even having to use the flash to get away. Just a little bit more survivability working out well for the Limerick mid laner. And we see the trade from the bot lane now. Cormaco and Kapnak being pushed in. Krusty Pants and Pa doing a pretty good job here in the 1v1 now against the Zyra Khan. Slight CS advantage. It does allow the Jhin to get off a free back here, but we actually see the junglers are going to run to each other. Gulag does get the knock up into the Shyvana, but Haroon can't swing back there. Has the ultimate, but the Call of the Forge God will hit the 2 low members here, and Gulag can go back into this if he wants. The knock up connects, but Gulag not choosing to pull the trigger. Maybe a bit risky. Sprinkle's actually walking through the tower there to back up his jungler, and bit miscommunication. Gulag tacking up the tower though, he's very low. E-Tank going to see if he can get the kill. Gulag flashing away, but he's still at the aggro. So it ends up being a 1-for-1 under the tower, and I don't think Cork really played that as well as they could have.
I mean, that's an understatement of the century. Like, that was really messy. I definitely thought they were going to push the lane minions in, take the aggro, and then dive. It could have been a very easy double kill, but it was surprising that they kind of lost it. They took aggro unnecessarily, walked through tower range, back again. Nonetheless, they keep the lead. They're ahead about 1,000 now, but an unnecessary kill going over to Limerick.
Because you said just unnecessary. They could have more of a lead. I don't think they'll be too happy about that one. I think Gulag as well could have just gone in for the 1 versus 2. They were very low with the knock-up in on them, so maybe just a little bit tentative there, and tentatively can cost you quite a bit in League of Legends, but Cork will know that they still have the advantage. Their top laner's up in CS. Their mid lane is actually beginning to develop quite a lead in that regard as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Orianna can be so dominant in lane. She's such a well-rounded hero. We see her so often in pro play and high elo because she can do so much action in the bot lane.
Engage comes in. Nice black shield from Krusty Pants will mean that he is fine. Engage in the mid lane, and Chomp's going to be dropped pretty low. Limerick looking to make some plays here, but Cork denying them for now.
Absolutely, like, good disengage there. Shyvana not really having the impact she wanted to. I think she pulled the trigger a little bit too fast. What you want is a Rakan to go, getting the knock up, followed up by the slows and soft CC of Shyvana. So that wasn't huge. And the thing is, what's so difficult is that even though Jhin has such low mobility, with the black shield coming from the Morgana and her binding, then going into Jin's binding and slow, it can just be a CC chain, which means you can't move.
Exactly. You need to play it very carefully when you're jumping onto them, because if Pa can get space, then, like you said, you're just locked up forever, and the damage will come out of this Jhin. Pa has that BF sword, so he's packing the early AD, and we're seeing the bot lane. It's still remaining even in terms of farms, so neither team's going to be too stressed out, but Limerick beginning to give up advantages in the other 2 lanes, and the Zyra can... You'd hope it'd have more of an impact here. We do see Limerick maybe making a play for the Mountain Drake here. Have a few pieces in place.
So it'll be interesting to see what does Wukong build. Because, oh, action, go, go, go.
Engage comes in. We do see the Drake is very, very low. Hero's entrance will pop down to the pit. It is secured by Gulag, so it is Cork who get it. Nice timing on the Zaya ultimate from Cormiko, and they do manage to take out the Orianna. However, the trade comes back in onto E10. Pa is very far forward here, but he's able to do the damage still. And Katazen thinking about the re-engage, flashing away from this one, but it is Cork City who are on their way to this fight. Gulag has to watch the health bar, but he does get the knock-up. They get Katazen at the back as well. They've locked up the Zaya, and all the kills now coming through for Cork City. There's one more shot from the G, will be enough to finish it off. Deadly Flourish gets it, and it's a double kill for I Am Pa, and Cork City hanging there by the skin of their teeth and turn the fight in their favor.
It looked like it was actually going the way of Limerick midway there. Really good reactions out of them, using their champ skills in the way to bring everyone together. But then there was a little bit of hesitation when Katazen's cooldowns were up, and then he was backing up and forth, didn't really know whether to come in, took a little bit of unnecessary damage. Kavnak tried to save his ADC, but not enough in the end, and we see Cork taking the lead now, 3K.
Exactly. It seemed like you said, the communication wasn't there, and each player was going through their own individual, will I go in, will I back off, and as a result you had one player on his own. At the start of the fight, he get taken out, and then Cork could just work through them, and as a result, they take away the Drake, they take away a number of kills, now have quite a significant goal lead as we pass the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, and it is just 10 minutes, and to have that 3,500 or so is quite big, and it's interesting to see how they then convert that, because sometimes taking too many objectives and too much early on, but action in the mid lane again.
Katazen constantly scoping out for these engages on the Galio, and he does have a little bit of magic resist, so these trades are coming in nicely. Call of the Force God, though Haru could be in trouble, flashes out of him, but Sprinkle just jumps on forward, takes him out. Now he's looking for the 1v1 against the Shyvana, but that is a little bit more difficult, so he's going to have to back off from this one. E10 not able to save his top laner though, and now this Ornn has got himself 2 kills.
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing a breakdown in communication from Limerick, because Shyvana was there using Wukong as the bait, but then wasn't quick enough to react. Danger that Katazan is finding in the mid lane is also, he's actually taking a lot of damage from the harass from the Orianna, and like you said, he's now behind a little bit, so he's not really representing any threat. So even when he's taunting Orianna in, she's just doing too much damage, so it's not to his advantage.
Yeah, he can lock her up, but the damage isn't there from the Galio, like you said. He still doesn't actually have any AP past that Doran's ring, so he's going to be waiting a while before he can amp up the damage he does on top of the tankiness that Galio does develop for himself. Limerick beginning to fall behind bit by bit here, and they're hanging in it a little bit better than they have in previous weeks, but still, Cork really showing their dominance here at the opening of this game.
Yeah, and they just have a strong foundation, a few issues here and there, but ultimately they seem to just understand like what they need to do, and they're just refining how to do it. Like we said, some communication issues, but they have a new member of the team just for this week, and you know, so far they're pulling ahead, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, how do you settle the substitute mid laner? By ganking him 3 times within the first 6 minutes. That's
I'd be happy.
I'd definitely be happy if I got any ganks ever, but Gulag maybe thinking of something bot side now. Pa does have 3 kills, so quite a nice advantage for this Jhin. They were deadlocked in farm for so long, but that fight really worked out for the Cork AD carry here, and you can see it now in the pressure developing in the bot lane. There's no way Desire can really compete against that Essence Reaver right now.
No, not at all, and especially as she's getting locked up, as we can see, and it looks like they're going for the push on the bottom tower to take it, but Rakan diving in to try and engage.
Gulag going to jump away from that one. They know the members are coming down. Chomp though, the shockwave on the side. Hero's entrance will pull the Galio to that bottom lane as well. Nice reactions from Limerick to scramble the members there, but Katazan think he has to fight. The taunt lands on the Rek'Sai. They're going for Gulag, but the flash from the Rek'Sai means he is okay, and Chomp going to come back in from the side. They lock up Katazan at the front, and Curtain Call coming down onto the back line as well. They will start off by cleaning up the Galio here, and once again Cork have exactly what it takes to turn around the Limerick engage. They find one more kill, looking to push them off the tower as well.
God, that says so much about how far ahead Cork is, that Sprinkles has teleport and isn't even considering to use it. He absolutely knows his team can handle that 4v4, and we saw them doing it. Nice reactions out of Limerick, but it's just not enough, and they're falling too far behind.
This will be first tower gold over to Cork here, and even more gold in the pockets of this Jhin, who is 3-0-1, and he is going to be an absolute menace in the mid game here. So tough for Limerick to have to deal with.
It is, and I'm curious to see what Haroon does with the Wukong build, because actually, well, previously and since then, I don't think he's changed much. He's actually a better build as an assassin.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the lower elo will think of him as a tank because he's in top lane, but he really isn't. You want him, he does so much damage. The ratio on his ultimate is insane, and especially when we had the assassin item reworks, God, he was monstrous. So there's a real chance, and it looks like he is going, we've got the Yomus, so there's a chance that he is going that, but it's a double-edged sword because we have a Jhin that's so strong. Yes, if he gets knocked up and Wukong can get ahead, he can shred him, but if Jhin is so strong that he can just 4-shot you, well, you're not going to do anything.
Well, Limerick, once again, going for an engage. They actually taunt Gulag, who was already moving through the tunnel, so the Rek'Sai does not get locked in place for too long. That time, Limerick looking to make moves around this Rift Herald here, but Cork scrambling members over. They do still have the teleport on the Ornn. Soul Shackles will be used. Shyvana having to jump away, but now Katazan is caught out, flashing out of the shockwave, and has the Justice Punch as well to get to safety. But Cork just now so dominant when it comes to these skirmish setups, and Limerick really showing the cautions they need to, considering the deficit they currently face. Oh, actually, the engage does come in here. Kavnak thinking of looking for the re-engage here. They do have the lockup coming in. A nicely timed point versus Gulag, though, but he's still locked up by the Galio, and E10 able to get the kill. In comes Haroon on the Wukong, the Cyclone, looking for Pat at the back of the fight, but he does manage to take him out. Over the wall, Curtain Call time, and this should be the kills coming in once again for the Cork AD carry. One goes over to the Ornn, actually, and Limerick have to go on the retreat. The engage looked so good, but time and time again, the extended fight keeps failing. It's a triple kill for Sprinkles on the Ornn, and Cork have just dominated these fights every single time.
But Limerick is trying to stop them. They need to, I understand, yeah, okay, you want to go get the Rift Herald, good. but you're not in a position where you can, so you sneak it. If you see them appear, you leave, you don't re-engage. And as much as like I love that Kavnak is trying to save his ADC, when his ADC is so low and he dives in with no health, he's just giving them a double kill.
It's like you said, just they have this comp that's really good for engage, but sometimes you have to just learn to say no. And Limerick seemingly not learning that lesson, and as a result they keep losing these fights. I also think that Pa played that very well. It looked like he was caught out in the pit, but the perfect flash over the wall into the curtain call allowed him to maintain his damage throughout the fight and let his teammates just sweep through the remnants and do the rest of the work.
Absolutely, and we're looking at what, 7k gold loop, 6.5k at sub 20 minutes. This is going to be incredibly difficult for Limerick to come back from.
Certainly, they will need to use that engage power more for picks as opposed to these big team fights. They have the CC, but they just need to make sure that they're catching out these isolated members. They might have one now, actually, as they have Sprinkles, and there's not many members nearby, but the flash from the Ornn will get him to safety quite quickly.
Sprinkles is really not playing arrogantly, and I like that. He's respecting them, respecting their engaged potential, and anytime he's in a bad position. But here we go, trying to go for Chomp.
E10 looking for the kill here. They're going to go for this Orianna, and there's not enough protection there for Chomp. This Shyvana now with 4 kills, so if anything, that's something you have to worry about. But Limerick not going to be able to get anything further here, and it looks as if the Rift Herald is being taken by Cork in the meantime.
Credit to Limerick for recognizing that and understanding that that is what they need to do, and they catch out the flashless Orianna, kill her, and they're now trying to grab the mid turret.
Binding lands in, the CC will follow. Blathorn will come out here, but this is a lot of trouble here for Cormico. Krusty Pants on the side, might be caught out here. The Shyvana is just going to chomp down the Morgana here, but once again, Limerick find themselves on the retreat here as Gulag and Sprinkles run amok here. Gulag though, dropped very low, does manage to find the kill onto the Galio, but now trying to escape at the back, is cut down by the Zaya here. Limerick have only lost 1, but it's about to be 2 here as the Deadly Flourish connects. Pa takes that one, but overall, a 3 for 2 in favor of Limerick.
Not a bad trade at all. They're already down, they're not worth that much gold, and being able to get 3 core kills is a pretty big thing.
Certainly, it's a lot better than they have been doing there, and it all started out with going for the isolated member and then almost baiting Limerick into the fight, but Gulag playing very in the front line. He's not as tanky as maybe he thinks he is. He keeps losing his health very quickly in the fights, and going down that time, we did see the Drake go over to Cork, so they are able to take all the objectives off the back of it. So even then, they lose the fight by 1 kill. They have the Ocean Drake. I doubt they're going to be too spread.
No, and so what we need to look at now is what can Cork do with their gold advantage? How can they convert? Because they've taken the 3 outer towers. Limerick, on the other hand, hasn't gotten any objectives. So they need to understand how can they convert those kills. And they tried to, and they played that really well. Unfortunately, Cork just went for the engage. Limerick was still able to do something. They need to be a little bit careful about going for too many fights because they will just lose them. They need to farm up, build up items, and get to another power point, and then go for those team fights.
Certainly, but it is tough when Cork are so far ahead. If they themselves catch the engages, then in theory they should just run over Limerick with the extra stats that they have right now. But Cork have been playing it pretty passively. I mean, they've kind of had to, considering how often they've had the fight taken to them. It's not like they even need to scope for these engages. They just have Limerick jumping at them, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. Actually, speaking of engages, once again the Rakan goes in. They're looking for Chomp at the front of the fight, but a nice shockwave hits 3, and the Ghost being used as well to get the Orianna to safety here. Limerick looking for another engage, not able to fight it here, and will walk away with their tails between their legs, losing quite a bit of pressure here as Cork keep pushing down the mid lane.
That was a great shockwave, and it saved his life because Wukong was doing so much damage, and Chomp definitely would have gone down. Limerick targeting the right person. Chomp's flash is still down. I hope they're tracking that, and it looks like they're doing a lot of damage. But Cork now turning this around, using the Rift Herald to grab that mid turret.
The tower snowball is working very much in favor of Cork, who are accelerating their goal lead even more. Curtain call actually coming out here. We saw the call of the Forge God, and now Cork going for an engage. Not really working out, but they have caught the Galio. However, he is able to get safety. Locked up by the Deadly Flourish, but the range isn't there for Cork to finish him off. Cork trying to fight there.
Strong. They're so strong. This is it. They recognize that they're so far ahead that they can actually brute force this a little bit. And that's us throwing ultimates out, and they're just pushing, putting pressure on the mid lane turret, rotating top to take another objective. And I think they're just going to keep going. Because what can Limerick do? They can just stop them out.
Exactly. If Limerick go for the engage, it's a risk at best. and Cork happy to just use the extra damage that they have to almost chip away. Like you said, the ultimate's forcing them back, and they had the wave in a good position. However, Limerick were able to clear it, so we might just move into a siege for the next couple of minutes or so. Cork happy to keep pressing forward like this, because once again, they have the Morgana binding, you have the Jin Deadly Flourish. You can make these picks from a very long range very easily, and they do have one right now. They take out Capnac straight away, and Limerick losing their support at the start of this fight. Katazen goes down as well. They have the Zaya, and that is all the big players off the board here for Limerick. They are in retreat here, and Gulag playing in the back, doesn't even go down, has the last few shields from his team, and gets the shutdown himself onto that Shyvana. 4 kills for nothing, 4 kills for 1. Okay, Gulag, you give that one to them, but Cork just cleaning house under that tower.
As I was about to say, I can't believe Gulag survived that. He just dives to tower again. This is what happened in the top lane. It happened again. They need to manage that tower aggro a little bit better. I was actually about to say before that the ultimates were up on the side of Limerick, but a lot of the flashes up were on Cork. So that kind of engage could really be disengaged unless they're able to lock down one with consecutive CC. But then again, Cork really played that so well, get 3 for 1.
Exactly. I believe a Dark Binding from the Morgana actually hit Capnac as he was going in for the engage, which I think shut down the engage plan there for Limerick. And as soon as Cork saw that, they just pulled the trigger, went for the fight themselves, and almost wiped out Limerick. And even under the tower, that's just the lead showing that Cork had, is over 10k gold here at 22 minutes. And this is the point in the game where you need a string of miracle plays to come back for Limerick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But Gulag and Chomp's flash are down again. So those are the miracle plays that can happen. If they catch them out like they have before, they can delete them pretty quickly and then use that to kind of take a big objective. And we do have Baron that's up. It'll be risky, but if you can take out the mid lane and jungler, it's a lot less risky.
Especially if you pick up that jungler, you can just stick to the objective, and if Cork don't reply quickly enough, then you can take that one pretty much for free. No steal to contest it. So,
and they're so far behind. What do they have to lose?
Exactly. It's that desperation Baron that we always see in League of Legends. And if Limerick can get enough control of the area, they should be in a good spot. But right now, Cork doing their due diligence, getting the wards down. Limerick trying to clear it, but when it comes to vision of the actual Baron pit, they have nothing right now.
Nothing at all. They cleared it out, but there we go. We see a bit of farming, trying to push back the wave. Both Sprinkles pressuring. He has his teleport as well as Haroon on the other side. But we see this pressuring in the bot lane and a few people around mid. Jin up top trying to build up that wave as well to dive in. But I wonder if we're going to see any engages mid.
And we do see Katazen hanging around. We know he likes engaging, but I think at this point he may be a little bit more wary of looking for the fight, especially without his full team to back him up at the moment here. Cork, though, they're thinking of the engage. Black Shield on the Rek'Sai. He's going to go in, and the taunt will get blocked by that Black Shield. This Galio is all alone. Pad's going to take that one as he goes godlike. Gets Sprinkles in the backline as well, looking for Cormiko. Featherstorm does come down here, looking to finish off the Zaya, but Chop will take it with that command dissonance here. Cork find the 2 stragglers in the mid lane here. They can turn back for Baron if they want, and it looks like that's the call.
It's a great call, because the jungler is still up, but with the mid laner and the ADC on the side of Limerick down, it's just who are they really going to go in and contest? And they have so much CC on the side of Cork, so, and Shyvana, you know what she has to do. She just has to run in, maybe ultimate over the wall, but I doubt that she's going to get. So there we go. It's a pretty safe Baron going over to the side of Cork. It's not really that much that I think Limerick can do. They're rotating down to grab the dragon, which is a good call. You know, at least they get something pushing out the lane so that Cork aren't able to do too much. But yeah, they're barreling down mid, trying to grab that mid priority and trying to deny Limerick that push of Drake.
Limerick backing off. They know where Cork are going, and it was only the Shyvana and the Rakan. They cannot stick to that, so no objectives for them. They have the 7 kills, but in terms of getting these towers, in terms of getting these neutral objectives, Cork have just ran the map in that regard. Limerick never able to find anything, falling very far behind, especially when those towers started going down, because Cork were almost clinical in how they cleaned them off the map.
Absolutely, and now it's about sitting in base and farming up. It's the only way that I can see them winning. Their jungle, you know, we don't see too many wards. There's not really much. It's a bit safer, but I think it's only a matter of time. The danger really is can they, it all hinges on can they hold off the push of Cork. And they're 12k behind at 25 minutes, and I'm not sure it's going to be possible.
certainly Cork still have quite a bit of juice left in that Baron buff. So certainly an opportunity for them to break open the base of Limerick over the next couple of minutes. And we've seen them able to just take these engage of their towers, so that could be an option. They could just keep sieging up with the range of a few of their champions. Like, there's so many ways that they could just take this game, considering the advantage they have right now. And Limerick, I think they're reliant on a very big mistake or set of mistakes from their opponents here. Katazen, you see, once again, he's trying to get these engages, but I don't know if he even really wants to stick around for that. Cork got priority on bot lane. They can just move back in, and Chomp pulling the trigger on this shockwave early on here. The flash forced by the Galio, but now Cork have priority in this mid lane. Soul Shackle's being used as well to force this Shyvana back. Limerick just cannot play aggressively because Cork have way too much pressure to do anything against here. Katazen being caught out, but Gulak jumps in front of his Justice Punch to deny him from escaping. Pac cleans up that kill as 8 of the game here. They are taking out the members of Limerick under the tower as well as the towers themselves. Cormico with one last Feather Storm here and is caught out by the Dark Fighting on the map. That is 4 members down for Limerick here, and we could be seeing GG here.
And Haroon unfortunately used his ultimate on Gulag, who is not the prime target at, so I think it was a bit of a desperation play, but I think that is all she wrote for Limerick, and Cork are just pushing it in. We're going to see a dive, a taunt coming out of Gulag.
One little bit of BM to end this game here, but Cork, we were talking about them needing this win here in game 3. Might need one more kill as well. They are able to get it. The ace to finish it off, but Cork will move to 2-1 with their win here. They're dragging this one out. Looking to pad the stats here, but they do finally take out the Nexus. Cork to 2-1 here, taking the first win of the day here in week 3.
Absolutely big, strong win out of Cork, and they are a team that I've said from the very first week when they created that upset win. It was exciting to see them play then, and they've actually played pretty well since then. Really strong performance. It's one we expected. They had a strong team comp, they're solid players, and they're now 2-1, which is really good.
Certainly, Cork, like you said, I think solid is the big word there. They showed up and played a very clean game against their opponents, just took everything that was given to them and didn't do too much. We saw a couple of mistakes, especially with that early dive under the tower, but I think for the most part, it was very structured and it was very well executed by Cork, and certainly for their fans, that's got to be a very positive sign moving forward.
Especially with the substitute, which is the word I was looking for, not support. I just couldn't remember sub, but that was it. So not much more to say, and we're actually going to jump into the other game that's still playing in house, so that'll be exciting to see how that's going along.
Yeah, certainly. We do have the 2 games on at the same time here, so we'll be jumping into the other game, which is still taking place. Derry and Shamrock Rovers still very close. Shamrock Rovers do have those 2 substitutes. They actually have Sad Life at support here, and they've got Fate in the mid lane here, but the kills are close, but the goal isn't. Shamrock Rovers with quite a nice advantage in terms of those stats.
They absolutely are, and they're doing quite well despite the 2 subs, as you said. It's unfortunate their players weren't able to play this week, and I was interested to see how they did this match, because they lost week 1 in an upset. They won week 2 against Sligo, who's considered one of the best teams, and it was a dominating win. I think Sligo only got 3 kills, destroyed. So that was a really good showing of Shamrock. Unfortunate that they have the subs, but if they lose again here, they're now 1-2, and that would be, or 2-1 rather, which would be quite a deficit to come back, but it doesn't look that way, and there's a bit of action happening.
We do see the stuns come in, and maybe Derry looking for the fight here, but Jarvan goes onto the back line. A big Cataclysm actually hits 4, but they burn him down to start off. The damage from the Cosmo and the Azir is way too much to handle. Double kill for Fate. The Cosmo picks up 1 as well. They do take out Anti here, but even so, the numbers game is very much in favor of Shamrock Rovers after that fight. Full auto tank cleans up the 4th here. Fluky can only stand and watch from the side here. It is only the Zillion left to defend, so Shamrock might be able to make the push to finish this if they can get the wave there in time.
I mean, a 3-man Shurima shuffle coming out of the Azir, putting him at 7-1-4. Just such a dominant champ if he gets ahead, and if he's played well, it's a thing of beauty.
And Fate is very much a fan of the Azir, and he's able to show his stuff here subbing in for Shamrock Rovers. Like you said, 7-1-4, has been doing very well for himself this game, and they have the bottom inhibitor open now. Baron spawning in just a few seconds here, and they could go to this. And considering how that last team fight went, you'd be expecting Shamrock Rovers to take another one if it did break out.
Yeah, thoughts on the Rammus? Secret meta pick?
Yeah.
Broken?
He goes fast. I mean, Dr. Yeti is a new player, certainly, so I'm expecting that maybe got banned away from him, and Ramus is kind of one of his extra picks after that. Obviously, he's role swapping from support for this game, as he's usually Shamrock's starting support player. But Ramus seems to be doing pretty well. I mean, he's against a lot of AD on the enemy team, so he can just stack that armor and be so annoying to deal with for the damage sources, the physical damage sources on the side of Derry.
Which they have a lot of if you look through them. Definitely. So he's a new Ramus player, so we love him.
We do.
If you're playing against him.
I don't think anyone likes playing against Nunu or Ramus, or most people don't. They do manage to find the pick there onto Robster Monaghan as well, so they just keeping control of this Baron area as well, and they have taken away the enemy support, so they not choosing to go for that. They don't want to risk maybe the steal coming in from this Jarvan. They're just going to use their advantage to push down this mid lane tower and keep the ball rolling in terms of these enemy tower objectives.
I like the respect that I'm not going a little bit too ham, because you know you do have a Xayah that is 7-2-2, and there is a potential for her to really kind of get a good couple of feathers in a combo with a stun, and when you do that with a Zilean, I don't know what's happening with our camera.
There is a fight taking place off stream. We're looking at a nice few trees to judge, but they do manage to take out the Kog'Maw to start it off. Fate was able to take a kill back, so it seems as if Derry hanging in this fight pretty evenly, and they do have the Thresh back alive to join. They're able to take out the Ramus as well, so just look if the kills are going over. It's actually a double kill to the Xayah here, so we missed the big fight. Derry actually managed to take it to Shamrock here. Fate, though, does take one back, but they drop it. That's a triple kill for the Xayah. I'm really sad that we missed this.
I know, so am I, because that's a huge pick catching out on the Adzi. I don't know what our producers are doing and what might be happening with the spectator at the moment. We can't see. Trying to fix it, a bit of things moving around. I'm not too sure, unfortunately. But yeah, but huge. There we go. We're back to Fluky. Huge catch out on Adzi, who obviously flashed and used his heal at the same time. So that's a big pickup. What can they do from it? Because they are about 10k, 9k behind. Something trying to get this vision around Baron, which is a good call. It prevents Shamrocks from being able to take that game-ending Baron.
It just allows them to get a bit of a better foothold in terms of that map control. Obviously not an option for them, considering a deficit they face and the respawns coming in for Shamrock Rovers. But a bit of life in Derry there. Managing to take that fight and getting quite a nice few kills onto Belfast. 10 kills on the Xayah now, so certainly a threat in the fight if they cannot take him out. And Xayah, a tricky target to take out in any case, so Shamrock Rovers have to be a little bit careful. They do have those two big scaling carries, so a lot in terms of team fight strength. And now looking for the Baron, but Derry close by, there might be a response coming through.
Yeah, I mean, but it's tough to fight Shamrock in the jungle right there with the Azir, the Ramus who can taunt you in. It's definitely not great. Lots of CC coming out of them. I definitely wouldn't want to fight. You need to be careful. On the other side, like you said, absolutely Xayah, tough to pin down, especially when you have a Thresh and a Zilean who can help peel.
And certainly, Belfast will need to pop off in more of these fights if Derry are going to make the big comeback in this game. Down just over 9k gold. They do have that Infernal Drake though to buff their AD and AP, so a little bit of extra stats will help them out in that regard here. But picks are the name of the game here for Shamrock Rovers. They are lining up in the bush here, and Dr. Yeti looking to see if he can catch out the Thresh once again. The taunt does come in here, and they're going to look to burn down Robster Monaghan, who is just isolated. Does get the Resurrect in from that Chrono Shift, but should be able to still be getting. They're looking to run him down. Nice Blade Collar will actually mean that Robster Monaghan can get to safety here. Shamrock Rovers trying for these picks, but nicely timed Zilean ultimate meant that they weren't able to get even one kill there.
But they got the Zilean ultimate out, which means it's not there for a fight. Shamrock didn't take a lot of damage, so they can actually bait the Baron or just start to take it, because they're down the Zilean ultimate, which is a pretty big ultimate to be down.
Certainly not really using anything on the side of Shamrock Rovers there, and not willing to commit just yet. Just very tentative coming out from them here, and the inhib has actually come back up in the bottom lane, so there's no longer that automatic pressure in the bottom lane for Shamrock Rovers. However, they do have mid priority. They could run and take out another inhibitor tower here, with Derry not able to defend.
I mean, this is definitely to Limerick's advantage, just stall, because then they scale up. You can see Zilean, it's already sitting on some pretty strong items. They're trying to grab that mid priority, which is the right call to make, but can't hold it against Shamrock too much with those just tuning in. They have two substitutes, so those Baron calls and that coordination is going to be a little bit off.
And that was the big worry for Shamrock coming into this week. The coordination seemingly a little bit affected here, and you can see they have the plan of picking off these members and using that to make plays, but when the picks aren't coming through, seems to break down just a little bit. However, they did have the nicely timed waves, so 2 exposed inhibitors for Derry to worry about. Certainly not out of the woods yet.
No, not at all. Then good call by Shamrock just to go to the Cloud Drake, getting them 2, so they're definitely gonna have that movement, which is gonna be great for Adzi in game in fights, because that's what got buffed 2 patches ago, I think it was. And now the movement speeds is still not just out of combat, but also in combat. But Derry clearing out some wards, getting the Baron Dark, just farming up.
Yeah, stalling is always the best tactic when you're behind, and Derry seemingly able to hold Shamrock from progressing too far ahead in this game. They're inching slowly, but that's not what you would really want here. And a big wave in the bot lane will maybe allow Derry a tower if it's an undealt with. Full auto tank though, he is the Shen. It's so easy for him to stick in those side lanes and get into fights when his team needs him.
Especially with an ultimate and a teleport up. To see if things can be done here. I mean, baiting Baron again, but at what point, I mean, you're 10k up, stop baiting, take, you know, you have a Shen, like
exactly,
you have a Shen that can stand and control river really nicely at the entrances with his taunt, and it's so easy for Rammus to turn around off a Shen taunt to grab another taunt, and then you can delete that person with the range coming out of Adzi on the Cogmore. So I'm finding this hesitation. Sometimes it's overly hesitant, and I wonder if this is going to actually come back to bite them, because whilst Derry is 10k behind, we're now 35 minutes in, and Camille's on 4 kills. You see Zillion has 13 assists, 10 kills on the Xayah, so we're definitely not talking about a weak Derry.
And you have this massive Azir as well though, which, I mean, means that you can teamfight quite effectively. All it takes is a little bit of space for Fate, and he can really wreck anyone he's getting the damage down on. Dex taking the 1v1 against this Shen, and it's not really working out. Shen is a good matchup to commit. We do see the fight though breaking out of the Baron pit. Baron was secured there by Dr. Yeti here. They have Deathstroke on the side, taking out the Jarvan, and now the damage is coming through from Adzi and Fate. They do take out the Chrono Shift onto Belfast, but they get the Xayah all the same. Shutdown comes in, 2 kills for Shamrock Rovers, as well as that Baron. We were talking about them acting, and they finally pulled the trigger.
They absolutely did. They used the aggression coming out of the Shen, I think, to distract them in the bot lane. They created that fight. Huge damage coming out of the Azir in a choke point, and that was it. And I think once Xayah is taken out, what can Derry do? And they're pushing in now, trying to get this mid inhib. And I would expect them to rotate just down to take the bottom inhibitor and even potentially the win.
They could certainly try for the win. I think the bottom inhibitor is definitely an option right now. Hook connects onto Adzi, but still members missing for Derry, so no option to fight that one there. And now the base is going to be really under fire from these super minions. Shamrock Rovers, the hesitance was costing them, but when they do make the play, it works out exactly as they want here. And now Derry are really in for a tough time over the next few minutes.
Absolutely, and we can see them rotating top, recognizing that huge wave coming there, but the TP coming out of Shen to escort it forward on the only lane that they have inhibitor tower left.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to have to be defending that point for the next while, as well as watching those super minions coming in. Tough call for Derry here in the defense of their base, and right now they're grouping members up towards that top side here. We might see Dr. Yeti even go for another big engagement with the Terror. They have the Stream of Shuffle available from Fate as well if he wants to pull the trigger on that. Shamrock Rovers now with quite a few options here, and Derry will need, once again, the miracle fight just to pull this back.
Yeah, definitely some action. They're pushing in. Shamrock are so far ahead, they're just waiting for the next wave. Good clear coming out of Derry, but it's only a matter of time. They have Camille trying to clear the wave in mid, but with the bot lane pushing, it's a ticking time bomb. Excuse the Zillion pun.
That's a good one. But yeah, like you said, it's so tough to manage 3 waves at once. The people pushing into the top lane and the super minions in the other 2 lanes. Derry really gonna have to split their focus here. And normally you go for the engage, but against the Kog'Maw, against the Azir, that is a really risky call unless you can burst one of them down. So it will have to be executed very precisely if Derry are going to go for it. And right now they're kind of just watching these minions crash towards their Nexus towers. Dex is the one dealing with it, and he's gonna have to try to get over for a fight if it does break out. So many holes to plug for Derry here, and this is just normally the part of the game where your base just implodes very slowly.
I mean, pushing in Samrock Robots, doing the damage. Now 3 inhibitors down, so we're going to get double super minions pushing in. And I think this is it. I don't see them being able to hold off. Robs are trying to get a hook, but no one able to follow up on that.
Yeah, they do manage to get the hook here, but you can't really go for that kind of engagement. You get the stun onto Ansi, and now they're looking for the fight, trying to get to the combo, but there is so much peel for the AD carry. They take out the Jarvan, Dex goes down as well, and despite the right engage, the one that they needed, it is just too much power coming out of Shamrock Rovers right now. That is 3 dead, make that 4, make that 5. The ace just finished off very quickly by Shamrock Rovers, and they will take the win, 2-1. This team beginning to look like the real deal.
Absolutely, and they must be feeling great about that, because this was a real chance for them to actually go 2 losses, 1 win with 2 substitutes. But picking up a win here, going back to the normal roster next week, which was extremely strong last week, they're looking at one of the tournament favorites. And I can't really critique Derry there, because great engage out of the Jarvan and Kameen. Great coordination. They got Adzi. Cogmore can't move too much. But the damage coming out, they just melted.
Certainly, that Azir was super fed. And I mean, it's so tough to fight against that late game. You saw it even that last fight. They had exactly the engage that they needed. But there's just so much defense coming out from the rest of Shamrock. And while their macro play calling was a little bit off, we saw when it came to the fights, though, it seemed as if they were all on the same page.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a bit of issues macro, but with 2 subs, I'm not going to complain. They've got the W on the board, and they're 1 step closer to the 20,000 euros, the finals, and that potential trip to the to our new arena in Vegas, actually. And I think we're going to get a quick video about that.
Video games are the latest craze to sweep the
Once, gaming was a simple pursuit. Groundbreaking, yet limited.
Video fever, the games people play.
And then, it evolved.
This is the next generation of video games, but these...
And so too did the game.
Professional, competitive video gaming.
You see, the thing about evolution,
This is what kids are doing. This is what people want to see.
it never ends.
I wanted you to know that I am ready to go. Heartbeat, my heartbeat.
Now, we're here. On the Vegas Strip.
Is it gonna connect?
Just stay close to Jake. Your champion, Ghost Gaming. Las Vegas Daddy's gonna be there.
Anyone can play. Are you ready? Ready?
A very good evening to you. Now, just before the break, we saw that emphatic win by Shamrock Rovers, but before that, we watched Cork and Limerick battle it out. Cork, again, becoming the victors. Now, I'm going to come to you in just a moment, Norbert. I don't know whether you're trying to look super cool or you're in disguise. It could be one of the other condolences, though. But, Kaelin, another victory for Cork. You're looking like maybe one of the favourites right now. How was it for you?
It's just a standard game, really. The draft, we thought we lost until when they banned Renekton mid, but we powered through, and we saw the Wukong, and we thought it was a free game. So, yeah, pretty standard game for us.
A standard game. Oh, that doesn't sound too good. But in terms of how you had discussed it beforehand, had you been watching Limerick? Had you sort of thought about their tactics and how you'd approach that?
Yeah, we knew their play style. We played accordingly to that. So, and developed a strategy around it, so yeah, easy enough for us. So.
You are a more experienced team. I mean, did that help? Did that really did show tonight?
Oh, obviously, like competitive experience is so important. Like macro wise, it's like some people could read good mechanically, but if your macro is better, you're just gonna lose the game off it. So yeah.
Now tonight we are looking ahead. We are already talking about that grand final at the 3 Arena. Do you and the team have your eyes on the prize now?
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully we can make a stab at it anyways and see how we do. So be fun.
I think one to watch, Cork. Oh, Norbert. Where did it all go wrong? 3 defeats in a row.
I just believe we're up against better players than ourselves. Obviously, we're not good enough at it yet because we may have the mechanics, as he said, but we don't have the team play.
And I mean, this is something that has come about time and time again. It is that lack of experience, isn't it? It really does start to show at this point in the competition.
It very much shows, yeah. As we're going to be facing up against 3 soon and the other teams, I believe we're going to have much more disappointing games later.
You did mention 3. Who else are you sort of dreading taking on at this point?
Sligo and maybe, Sligo, Shamrock Rovers here probably.
Now, we were just briefly watching Shamrock Rovers and Derry there. Shamrock, as you say, definitely one to watch. What do you think about the team?
They have good picks, yeah. They can do probably something.
They can do something. I think that's an understatement. Gillian, I'll put that to you as well. I mean, we were watching Shamrock there. Really an emphatic victory for them once again. I mean, who in the competition are you looking forward to playing, or who are you not looking forward to playing?
Sligo, so I can smash Kevin in the bot lane. So be nice, very nice. So yeah.
Everyone seems to be after Kevin. I don't know what he's quite done to people. But other than that, I mean, is there anyone you're feeling particularly confident about facing on? Let's start the bad chat, shall we? Who in terms of who is sort of slipping down your ratings, who would fall into that category?
I'm not too sure, but I think Derry should not be too difficult. It might be. I think we've finished our okay games now. It's going to get to the hard ones, but yeah, hopefully Derry. So.
And looking ahead to tonight, we are in week 3. We're starting to see some of the real competitors coming forward now. The big one that we were looking forward to, the final game tonight, it's going to be home turf. It's going to be Sligo and 3. Who's your winner in that competition?
Oh, that's a pretty tough game to see who wins that. But I'll say 3 because they have the better all-around players, I think. So yeah, I think 3.
And Norbert, I don't want to write off Limerick because this is still only week 3. I mean, we have had 3 losses in a row. Can you come back next week?
Hopefully. I really do hope, but I don't see, honestly, without major changes to our lineups. Yeah, to our playing, just not to the players. We just have to change how we're playing and what we do.
Explain a little bit about that to me. What changes do you need to make between now and next week?
Because we usually have one person just make up whatever we play. And it's usually not our comfort picks, not what we usually play in normal games and everything. So I think we just have to go back to that mentality of just picking what we like playing and we know how to play.
Great. Norbert, Keelan, look, get yourselves a drink, get settled in for the rest of the night. There's plenty of Lucas, plenty of pizza going around tonight. We have plenty more action to come straight after the break.
This is the biggest challenge of their lives.
This is the fastest growing spectator sport in the world.
They seriously don't understand how good I am at this game, and we are going to win this.
Welcome back. Still week 3 here, and today we are in Sligo. Now, this is the biggest tournament of its kind to come to Ireland, and you can tell it is getting tense. These guys have been working hard for this. There's a lot of experienced players in this room, some of the most talented gamers in the whole of Ireland right here, battling it out to make the grand final and to make it to the 3 Arena in May. Looking forward to it. Plenty more action to come tonight. Next up, we have got Dundalk versus St. Pat's, but live in your screens will be Brays versus Bows. So we're going to speak to some of the captains now. Adam, if you don't mind, I'm going to interrupt some of your preparations just now.
I don't need to prep against this team.
Oh, I can always tell with this one. With this one, he's always got an answer. Adam, tell me, how confident are you feeling tonight?
I'm more confident than either of our previous matchups. This is the worst team we've played against so far, or we're about to play against so far.
Now, when you say the worst team, do you mean the one you're least looking forward to, or the fact that you are going to annihilate them?
The easiest team. We're going to absolutely smash them.
Talk me through some of your tactics then. What kind of chats have you had between last week and this week?
Well, I don't want to leak any strats, but we haven't really had too much of a change in preparation, apart from fix our early game, because our early game was quite bad last week. But this team is going to be a lot weaker than St. Pat's last week. St. Pat's actually have a few good players, unlike this team who only has one.
And tell me, what have you learned from previous weeks then? What have you had to work on? What have you been talking about? You don't want to give away any strats, as you say, but I mean, is there anything you feel like you do need to improve on specifically?
As I said earlier, our early game was something we had to improve.
In what way? What parts of the game were you more concerned about?
Well, we gave over a lot of free kills and objectives and towers in our game versus St. Pat's. From Dundalk, we didn't really learn that much because we just played to our win condition and won because, I don't know, I guess they were trolling or something. But against St. Pat's, they actually put up a good fight, so we learned a lot from playing against them. And we'll be back to Smash Bohemian now.
Before that, or rather after that, after you smash them, as you so well put, looking ahead to the final, the grand final at the 3 Arena in Dublin, have you got your eyes on the prizes? Do you see Bray Wonders taking that top prize?
100%. It's an absolute disappointment if we don't win.
Fighting talk once again from Adam. Let's speak to some of the other guys now from the other team, which hopefully we'll get a bit of an idea of when we're watching later on. Who's all ready and prepped and ready for a chat before the next? Yeah, you're ready for it. You're ready for it. So talk me through then. How have you been preparing over the past week? What have you learned in the competition? We're now in week 3.
Learning to improve our macro and stuff like that, it's just our team is really very good in early game, as we seen last week. We just need to learn how to close out the games.
It's always important to finish strong. That's something we've seen. And in terms, this is a relatively experienced team as well, working well together. Like I was just saying, in week 3 of the competition, how much pressure does that add? The teams are really finding their feet now.
Yeah, you can see which teams are actually good and what's who's good and who's kind of middle tier team type of thing. I think that in week 3, everyone just trying to get as much wins as possible to make playoffs, and then once you get playoffs, you focus into winning the whole thing, The most important thing is basically winning playoffs.
And you're saying winning the whole thing. You've still got, your eye in the prize. It means St. Pat's are in with a really good chance.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're here to win first place. Second place might as well be last. Might as well be last.
Oh, that's sort of. It's a really strong talk now, I have to say. When you think about it, there is only going to be one winner. That is the important thing. No one here is fighting for second place. Well, we're going to head over to the other side of the room now. Let these guys get ready with the preparations. Let's see who looks like they're in control. Let's see who looks ready. Oh, this guy looks ready. Let's see. What's your name?
Kira.
Kira, now tell me about the preparations over the past week. Do you feel the pressure this week more than ever?
Yeah, it's the hardest team we've been up against so far, probably. But I think I'm confident we can win.
Now, if any of your family and friends, we have been streaming this on Twitch, people at home have been watching, commentating, giving their reaction. What type of reaction have you had from people at home?
A good one, definitely a good one.
Oh, tell me more. It sounds ominous.
I get a lot of support.
That's good. That's always good to hear. Feel free to give anybody a shout out tonight.
All my fans.
There are so many of them. We just couldn't name them all, could we?
Yeah.
So how are you feeling? This is going to be a tough one for you guys tonight. It's not going to be easy. We've had some fight and talk from Adam already. Are you feeling in any way confident? I mean, this isn't going to be an annihilation, is it?
It will be an annihilation, but for us.
That's more like I got really worried there for a second, I'll be honest. What conversations have you been having during the week? Anything specific that you're really needing to improve on?
Not really, no. We're doing well.
We're doing well. You're just perfect, aren't you? Just the way you are. No changes needed. Get on with the preparations there. Okay, our final team for this section. Now let's head over. Who looks like they're not deep in concentration? Let's head over here. Excuse me, if you don't mind. I think he looks tense. What do you reckon? Oh, that's me told. On to the next one. Hello, if you don't mind giving us just 2 seconds, if that's all right. So tell me, final preparations for tonight's game. Are you feeling nervous? Are you feeling confident?
We're a wee bit nervous because we've got a sub. We lost one of our best players, so that's going to hurt us tonight, but hopefully it should be okay. We're against one of the weaker teams, so hopefully we can pull out with a win.
Talk me through that, how much of a difference that makes by, in terms of the consistency of the team. You've been working well together over a couple of weeks. Having to sub in, does that make much of a difference to the team?
The past few weeks we were finally starting to gel together with the 5 of us, and then we had to change our top laner to jungle, and now I've got a sub in top lane, so it's going to hurt us quite a bit, but we practiced a bit over the weekend, so hopefully it's enough.
In terms of, you're talking about practicing, how many hours are you putting in during the week?
Not enough. Our schedules conflict quite a lot, so it's tough finding the time. Maybe only like 3 practice sessions a week if we're lucky, which would be about 3 hours each time, so that'll be about it for now, but we're hoping to increase that over the next few weeks.
It does feel like the pressure is mounting now. The first couple of weeks you feel like, if you lose a game, drop a game, it's not the end of the world. Week 3, it really does up the ante, doesn't it?
Yeah, if we lose today, we can still get through to the playoffs, but a loss today would hurt us quite a bit.
And I mean, is that going to happen? Are you going to lose? What are the guys been saying beforehand? Are you feeling confident?
I'm feeling pretty confident about this game, so like I said, we are against one of the weaker teams, so even with the sub, it should be fine.
In terms of tactics, are we looking at big kills straight away? What are we looking at here?
The way I play is pretty aggressive, so hoping to just kill the enemy bot lane over and over again, really. So they're pretty bad, so it should be easy enough.
Excellent. This is going to be an aggressive game, I can just tell already. We're in the final minutes of preparations here. I mean, it is getting tense. Like I say, it's week 3 now, so if these guys do want to make that grand final, it's all about getting the wins. That's what's important. There is no second place here. There will only be one team who are crowned the winners at the 3 Arena, walking away with €20,000 and that trip to Vegas. The stakes are high. Let's go to the casters after the break.
This is the biggest challenge of their lives.
This is the fastest growing spectator sport in the world.
They seriously don't understand how good I am at this game, and we are going to win this.
Hi guys, and welcome back to us. Absolutely, that looks huge. Everyone, make sure, hop onto EStars.pro, buy your tickets for the finals. We're going to have giveaways, we're going to have some riders there, you get to meet the players. It's a huge arena, and the setup that we're preparing is going to be so amazing.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. The biggest thing we've had in terms of finals so far in Ireland, and I mean, like Holly said, the stakes are really high, so both these teams, all these teams today, really battling to make sure that they get their spot in that top 4 and they get to play at the 3 Arena.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dream come true. Who doesn't want to play on a major stage in a major arena to a huge crowd? Like, it's what we want to do, and the stakes are high. And I don't think it's just for the players, it's also for the scene, because like this does well. This shows that Ireland is good enough to be on the map and to have this sort of tournament.
Yeah, certainly. Like I said, just upping everything, raising it to another level here. And I know that the players have been really excited about battling for the prize money, the trip to Vegas, pretty much everything that's gone into this. So, yeah, it's been pretty epic so far. And I mean, that conclusion, like I said, at the 3 Arena is going to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so we heard some really strong trash talk there.
Yep.
I know you're friends with a few of the players. Justified?
Yeah. I mean, they like to just up themselves or big themselves up a little bit there. I mean, we saw move from Bray Wanderers. He was, laying down the smack. But I mean, Bray Wanderers, they're 2-0, and after the first 2 weeks, looking like one of the strongest teams in the league, if not the strongest. They have had a couple of issues, as they said in the early game, that they need to work on. But when it comes to the late game, they just seemingly have the answer every single time.
I mean, Moo is battling for King of Trash Talk, I think.
Yeah.
No holds back, no holds barred. I mean, like him just doing a great job of winning and then putting his money where his mouth is.
Exactly,
He's following it
yeah.
up. They're 2-0. If they win this, like you said, it's really on that path to winning. And as much as, on the other side, they said, no one wants to lose. And yeah, second place is basically first to lose. But you have to get that top 4 because then you're in playoffs, and if you're in the top 4, then you can make it.
Yeah, certainly. In these best of ones, it can be very easy to slip up, make these little mistakes, but if you can win enough of them to get to that top 4, then you can really, put the heads down, get the preparation in for playoffs, those big series, and it's so important that you manage to pick up as many of these as possible so you do get that top 4 because, I mean, maybe if you're not first place coming in, obviously it's nice for seeding, but when you get to the playoffs, anything can happen.
To be honest, when I look at the teams, I think so many of that actually top 5 are so close to one another, and they can take games off one another. So seeding, whether you're first against 4th or 2nd or whatever, or 3rd, I don't think it really matters because all of the teams could be deadly against each other. So you just got to come in with your A game. But this is also why the lower seeded teams, it's so important. The people who might not, be winning, like Limerick, who are 0-3, unfortunately, they could, if they win, that win could mean that the other team doesn't make it to the playoffs.
Exactly. It's a case of picking up these games against the lower tier teams, and we said it with Cork earlier when they were against them. That's just a banana skin that you really want to avoid. You can't be dropping games in those scenarios if you are looking for the playoffs, because if you're dropping games to teams around your level and then just, letting 1 or 2 go against the teams below you, that will make the difference when it comes to it at the end of week 9.
Absolutely, that absolutely does, and you'll be kicking yourself for taking it too easy. But I don't think these teams are taking it easy. I think they have their eyes on the prize, and they're definitely going to go for it.
Yes, certainly. We got a couple of big games still left to go today. We were talking about Bray, and they're actually going up against Bows next, and Bows are 1-1. They had a nice win against Limerick last week, so things looking up for them, but Bray, we're saying number 1 team in the league right now, so that's always a tough challenge here, and Bows, I think, still have quite a lot of work to do if they are to really challenge for those top spots.
Absolutely. I mean, but behind the scenes, we were saying that actually they're doing quite well.
Yeah, I think in terms of just how this matches up specifically, the way that Bows play, they play very much around their 80 carry Ted Blondin stuff, a lot of appeal for him, and then they play into the team fights that Bray are so reliant on. So I think if Bows do get that early lead that Bray have been giving up, then potentially there's opportunity there for them to take away the upset, and that would be huge for Bray, who are looking so strong right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Bray are really doing really, really good at the moment. But I think we're going to have a look at a couple of stats now of the teams. Just bringing them up on give us a bit of insight. Now, stats aren't everything, but they do paint a bit of a picture. And as we said, Bray and 3 sitting there at the top, 2-0. Now, Cork unfortunately lost 1 game, 2-1, but coming back. Shamrock as well, losing that first week in an upset. But those are the top 4 teams. Now, Bray and 3, if they win this week, they are actually going to take a step ahead, and we're going to see, like I said at the start, the difference between the teams at the very top and then those that are sitting around the middle.
Yeah, it will come down to every single game mattering at the end, and you imagine that both Bray and 3 will have their sights set on keeping a clean sheet to round out the week here. Meanwhile, below that, we have Dundalk 1-1. They're playing St. Pat's, who are also 1-1. That is a game, I think, with very big playoff implications, because falling 1-2 now, you're going to have a lot of catching up to do throughout the rest of the competition.
Absolutely. I mean, Dundalk at St. Pat's, but then Sligo as well, who's sitting at 1-1. They lost last week to Shamrocks. It was a really strong performance. They'll be looking to come in strong and kind of get back into that top half.
Yeah, Sligo at home this week against 3, who took out the home team last week. That will be the last game on stream, and certainly one I'm definitely looking forward to, as 2 of the strongest teams in the competition right now go head to head. But looking at the present games now, back onto Dundalk and Pats here, because we're not going to have that one on the stream, so we might get a little bit of chat in about it now. I mean, Dundalk and Pats are 2 teams who I think are very evenly matched, but Dundalk talked about having a substitute here, losing one of their best players, and we've seen it with the teams using substitutes earlier, how it can kind of upset the dynamic. And that could be something that really swings a matchup that's so evenly pitched.
Yeah, no, and I think on the other side, St. Pat's are quite a solid team at the end of the day. When we look at them, they're doing very well. They lost, but they're 1-1, and it is recoverable. But like we said, dropping that third week game, you're starting to go down, and it will be really unfortunate if, unfortunately, with these substitutes that they start to lose. Because that means that they won't get that trip to Vegas, they won't get that chance at the playoffs. They'll still come to get to watch, and maybe next year, but it's a bit upsetting, I can imagine.
Yes, certainly they'll be wanting to keep in the playoffs for this one, and I mean, definitely it's very important that you get these wins at this point, so big game coming up.
Definitely, huge game. But before that, we're going to have a look at the brand new arena in Vegas that the winning team will be traveling to.
Let's see the big arena area, see what that looks like.
Sounds good.
Wait.
Oh my goodness. Dude, this looks so sick. It's amazing. That's really nice.
Wow. You gonna walk on the stage?
Yeah. What is that, a turntable? No, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch it.
This is so sick.
Can't get anything at the bar. Hello there, buddy.
Oh, shut up, bro.
This is the biggest challenge of their lives.
This is the fastest growing spectator sport in the world.
They seriously don't understand how good I am at this game, and we are going to win this.
A very good evening to you and welcome back. It is tense in here. The next teams are all picking their champions. You don't want to talk to these guys when they're doing that. These are serious negotiations going on. There's a lot of pressure involved in deciding which character, which champion represents. And a lot of tactics involved as well. So next up we've got Dundalk versus St. Pat's. Pretty level playing field there. They've won one, lost one, both exactly the same position. And in fact, that game is one that could actually have a very large bearing on the final standings. Both, though, have fallen to league leaders Bray. That is the next game. They take on Bows. There was some fighting talk there as well. Bray's feeling pretty confident about that fixture. Bray Wanderers, of course, 2-0 up so far. They won their last two games. We're into week 3. Another win for them would leave them feeling pretty confident. Bows, however, they've won one, lost one tonight. Could be interesting. There's a bit of pressure on them too, just to see how far they can get in this competition after tonight. Bray looking for the top spot, though. Are they the one to watch this early stage in the tournament? They've got a pretty well-balanced squad, of course. A very definitive style and very definitive strategy. But Bows, they've got a strategy as well. Will that work for them tonight? They're trying to protect some of their key players, something we've seen over the last few weeks. But is that what we'll see tonight? Who knows? Let's see some of the characters. I think we're getting there. We're going to have some action in the next few minutes. Let's head over to David and Nikita.
This is the biggest challenge of their lives.
This is the fastest growing spectator sport in the world.
They seriously don't understand how good I am at this game, and we are going to win this.
this is definitely not a game. As we were talking about the matches before, some of the two teams that are sitting 1-1, yes, they lost to stronger teams, but they don't want to lose to the weaker teams, because that's it. They'll start to drop behind and they'll be unrecoverable, and it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, certainly you need to get those wins on the board, as we keep saying, especially at this point when the standings really begin to develop themselves and the teams are going to settle whether you are competing for those top spots or whether you're kind of just falling behind a little bit, watching them all slip away.
Absolutely. Guys, just to mention, next week we're going to be back in Dublin. It's a real opportunity for everyone to come around, see the players live, meet us. We'll be casting from the Dundrum shopping centre. We'll be putting more details up online. Follow us on Twitter, Ireland's EStars. You can follow me at Wraithwell.
At David Wims. At
David Wims, there we go. Follow us all around. Make sure you guys follow everyone on YouTube, because we're doing a lot of giveaways and so on, which is going to be really good. So there's a lot of opportunities to win prizes, tickets to the finals and everything. So make sure you hop on, follow us, get it, and teams are ready now, so we're going to jump into picks and bans.
Hopping into picks and bans here for Bray against Bose here. First few bans coming in. Galio and Zach, two pretty key bans against Bohemians, I think, especially when it comes to their strategy. That Galio pick is possibly one of the most important picks they can get for themselves, but I mean, Bose taking away the Azir. Hawkins has had that first 2 weeks and he has just destroyed those late game team fights. Swain as well, super strong.
I don't expect him to get Azir anymore after the first 2 weeks. He was just so dominant on it. Swain, I was very surprised by the fact that we didn't really see him last week. He was banned. I think we saw him in 1 or 2 games, but he's so strong and he's a flex pick. To me, it's really a must pick or first pick. Must ban, sorry, or first pick.
Certainly does put a bit more pressure on that red side. They're going to take away the Xayah as well, so no Xayah Khan combo available for Bray here, but they can still take all of those picks that they went with last week. It'll be interesting to see what they do go for in the mid lane, because they have gone for the Azir. They've made sure they get it early in the draft as well, so there's no opportunity to take it away, but now they might leave the mid pick till later in the draft. They go for the Caitlyn first of all as the priority for Bray.
I mean, Caitlyn's so strong in lane, and I wonder if Bohemians are going to have to react by grabbing that Morgana, or will Bray take it for just a really strong lane to pressure them?
And Bo's actually going for the Braum instead, so making sure they have the advantage in the jungle, but also putting more priority on the Braum, not maybe looking to pick away the Morgana, so that will give the lane over to Bray if they do want it, and that is a lane that has also recently risen to prominence quite quickly.
Absolutely, and I mean, that's good as Sejuani and Skana's up, so Bray now grab it, so they're in a basically even situation in the jungle. Braum very strong in the bot lane, but Morgana Caitlyn can put so much pressure. Tristana, though, coming up. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, Tristana a while ago was certainly number one. I think the nerfs maybe affected her a little bit, and it does make that laning phase tougher against the Caitlyn. The decreased range in the early game is tricky for Tristana to go against here, but both teams matching each other in terms of positions. Both bot lanes locked in, both junglers locked in, and we see another ban tossed Hawkins' way in terms of the Victor here. We may just see even more attempts to limit the impact of the Bray mid laner.
Yeah, and Victor was not a traditional pick at the moment. Is actually still in a fairly decent spot, and if played well with someone who knows how to do it, definitely can take over. Camille strong in the top lane, Sion very strong in lane, can be very annoying, and obviously that Malphite is a targeted ban.
And denying a few more tanks from Red Panda on the side of Bose. They will start with the early Orianna lock, and I know that's another big team fighting champion that Hawkins likes to go for, so Bose making sure they get that as quickly as possible. And it looks like the response might be the Vladimir, who has beginning to just drop down a little bit. He still team fights very well, but I think with those Unsealed Spellbook nerfs, he's seeing a little bit less play now, especially in that mid lane.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's not as dominant as before. I like the Orianna pick. Again, it's very hard to counter in mid lane, so it's just a safe pick. They can pick it first, and then they save their counter pick for last.
Yeah, they do get that top lane counter pick 1 versus 1. So, first of all, Bray have to take their lock in, and it might be the Kled here. And I'm excited to see this, because this is something that Moo always goes back to. If his champion pool is pinched a little bit, and he pretty much always has a big performance when he goes to the Kled.
I mean, was it pinched that much?
Well, I mean, yeah.
It wasn't even... But Kled is great, and he's such a fun champion to watch and to follow, because he's playing on that fine line where he is just always in danger of dying or just taking over, and it's so exciting to watch. And we see the Shen come out of the Bohemians as a response.
And the Shen looking for that 1 versus 1. This goes back into that global focus that they like to take. They can move that Shen in the bot lane and once again play around their AD carry. And I mean, this comp will be very reliant on Ted Blanc's Tristana to really do a lot of damage, but at least they have the Orianna as well, and that's always a nice secondary damage source. Can do the protection, but also at the same time, big ultimate can win you a lot of fights.
And we're definitely not saying that the Tristana is useless. She's actually scales still really well. She's still fairly strong, but she's no longer that tier S or even tier A. I'm surprised they didn't go for the Jhin.
The Jhin, yeah, we saw it in the last game. You just get a few kills and the damage you do is insane, and a nice curtain call as well means that you're perfectly safe.
So safe, exactly. You can engage the range, you can do so much damage, and he got that nice little buff where now he can root off his own skill set.
Yeah, it's just a little bit easier to take him in this one, but I think Bo's opting for something a bit more late game, maybe sacrificing that early game a little bit to make sure that they have the damage when it gets past that 30-minute mark. And I mean, if it does get to that point, they have a comp that matches Bray, and Bray are so reliant on their late game, maybe a bit trickier for them in this matchup.
But the danger with the late game is it can't go either way. A couple of mistakes, a bad team fight, and then that's it. They can take Baron and take your towers straight to inhib. So it's a real danger, but you got a shot of us out there. Really beautiful evening here in Sligo. Beautiful setting and exciting.
It was hailstones earlier, but now it's obviously just calmed down a little bit, and like you said, it's a nice cool breeze outside, and these players playing in Big Betty here. Week 3, like I said, Sligo was just very nice out here in the Clayton Hotel, but these players focused on their game and making sure that they are taking away as many wins as possible here. For Bray, it is about cementing their status as the #1 team. For Bows, it's about causing a huge upset and really establishing themselves in the playoff race.
Absolutely, and that will take them to the first place, securing it at least until the final match of the day, which will be 3 against Sligo, and 3 obviously will also be gunning for first and going 3-0.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 3, like you said, you call them the sleeper team. I think as well, they're certainly one you have to watch out for with their performances the last 2 weeks. They're really coming to their own. Like, their individual players are shining. I mean, we've seen Rengus have huge performances, and in his interview earlier, he mentioned Cramp as well, who's also a big player for them. And the rest of the team really rallying around them and coming up with some big performances. So I think it's right to say that 3 are a team who are very dangerous, and I think every team in the league now is really looking out for them.
Absolutely, and you know, it's like something earlier I was saying Cork, they might not individually shine on the big level there, but they all work so well together. They're just very solid. They have good mechanics. Well, with 3, I find that every single player knows when to step up and how to step up together to coordinate and take over that match, and we've seen that in the first 2 weeks. Now Sligo, another really strong team, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do there.
Yeah, especially Sligo coming off their result last week where they were beaten pretty handedly by Shamrock Rovers, and as favourites for the tournament, that tag is certainly one that's now in question, and this is either the place where they re-establish themselves as one of the big teams in the competition with a win against 3 later, or they fall to 1 and 2 and have themselves in a real hole that they have to fight back from.
Definitely. Now guys, sorry, going back to what I was saying early on, make sure follow us on social media, giveaways, prizes, free tickets to 3 Arena, but also hop on eStar Pros, go ahead, buy a ticket, support the esports scene. It would be great, but it would be great to see you and meet all the fans that are watching us next week in the shopping mall.
Yeah, certainly. Dundrum, obviously very close to Dublin City Centre, so a lot of people around Dublin who might have been missing the first few events, with it being up in Dundalk and then down in Cork and now out here in the west in Sligo. We have our first city event, and I mean, there's a big fan base around that Dublin City, so really excited to see make it out to Dundrum for week 4 of the competition.
Yeah, it's a shame though it won't be in Big Betty, but there will be other opportunities, and you guys can see this all live just before the finals, but it's going to be exciting. Definitely looking forward to this final matchup. Well, not final matchup, but the before last matchup. It is, I think the Bohemians and the Braves, like, I know Bohemians a lot, we've been talking them up and so on, but I actually think the Braves do have it to win it. They have the skills and they have the opportunity, and like we said, behind the scenes, they've actually been winning a lot of their scrims. So it'll be interesting if they're able to convert that practice onto the stage.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of the teams talking about Bose actually being under the radar very good. And I mean, you're looking at the individual players on the roster. It's not anything that really stands out. They've got a few players that are very good, but there's other places where they're a little bit weak. However, I think they have a very distinct style, which always helps, especially when you have all these new teams coming together. When you can find your feet that quickly, that is a very good sign. It's been something that's worked out for Bray and brought them to 2-0, but Bose as well might be a team that's set for a couple of wins that you might not expect over the next couple of weeks. If they can kickstart it with a win today as well, that would be a huge shocker, and I think a big statement to the rest of the league for Bose in this one.
I mean, they have the confidence, so fingers crossed they manage to pull it out. But the other thing is, it's like, and something I've discussed, is like, with these best of ones, there's a chance for upsets, and there's a chance for comfort picks, and it's worth it, I think, going. If you're not necessarily, the traditional route isn't working out for you, go for the comfort picks, go for the unexpected, because you can steal that win away.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, best of one. It only takes one little bit of cheese to put you a little bit very far ahead early in the game, and you can just keep running with that and take your win. I think both the comps we have in this one, though, are fairly standard. I think these are two teams who like to play to the meta or their own specific version of the meta here, so nothing crazy like the first game where we saw the Wukong come out that threw us for a little bit of a loop here. I think these teams very happy with what they've got, and it fits well into the style they want to go with.
Not just the Wukong, don't forget the Shyvana, both
that
of them
too as well, yeah.
But no, definitely more traditional comps. It should be exciting to see them, how they lane up, the team fighting. I think it's going to be a great match. Just going to throw it to a quick ad, and then I think we're jumping into game.
This is the biggest challenge of their lives.
This is the fastest growing spectator sport in the world.
They seriously don't understand how good I am at this game, and we are going to win this.
That's sure, guys. It looks great. I love that ad. EStars.pro, hop on it. But the game is ready to start, so we're jumping in.
Yeah, we are.
We're actually a little bit off there.
We're getting
so close.
We're getting close.
But we are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm being told no. Not yet. Not yet. Still not.
Our timing is nearly there.
Just a little
We're
bit
close.
off. Tried to recover it.
We'll keep doing it every single time, and then we'll eventually, we'll get it right. 100%.
At some point or another. But going to be a really great game. I think we have really good players on both sides. They have really good comps, and it'll be interesting to see how it kind of opens up. Which lane would you want to watch?
Certainly for me, I think the bot lane is very important, just because we saw Kevin Man for Bray, MVP of last week. He had an absolutely massive performance, got a pentakill on the Varus, and now he's on Caitlyn, another very comfortable champion. Also on the other side, you have probably the core of Bo's strategy. It is that Ted Blanc Tristana coming out. They will need to protect him. They will need to make sure that he's strong.
Yeah,
and he'll be doing good.
I agree 100%. Like, I think Kevin Man, like I chatted on stage, feeling really good performance, and I think his positioning last week on that Varus was great, and Caitlyn does share a lot of that, and it's actually even slipperier. There we go, and able to escape and kind of avoid those things. So there's definitely a lot of pressure there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see if they're trying to shut that down.
Yes, certainly. Also, I think the supports as well in that bot lane is another big matchup. You have two in Burnsy and Mudstealer, who are quietly very strong supports, and not only that, but big playmakers for their team. I know both of them really like roaming, and not only will be looking for the big 2v2s in the bot lane, but also big advantages in the mid lane. We are, though, onto the Rift for the second round of games today. It is Bray on the blue side, Bohemians on the red side here, and I'm excited for this game. Both these teams trash talking each other before the game started here, so now we'll see which team can prove the words that they were spitting out earlier on.
I mean, definitely it will be interesting to see a Moo in the top lane with his Kled. Can he take over the game? I definitely think he thinks he can with the confidence he's been showing. But like you said, the bot lane, that's going to be really interesting. And they've got to be aware of that. I mean, Morgana, Caitlyn, such a strong lane with a mid lane Vlad who isn't that strong, and I don't expect him to take off too much. I think Relax Boy is definitely going to be focusing on top or bottom. And hopefully the other side is aware of that.
And Hawkins might have to play it defensively early on against this Orianna. Vladimir can sustain himself quite nicely through the lane, so I don't think he will be too stressed out, and when he gets the pool, he'll be a tough target to take down. Like you said, Relax Boy, though, might be focusing more towards those side lanes. He is on the Skarners, so he kind of has to wait till that level